welcome you all to the 27th lecture of the Leadership Lecture Series, where we invite alumni from various fields to talk about their different academic and career paths, as well as to shed light on their journeys in achieving success. This session is titled and will focus on leading in a digital world, and it will be hosted by Mr. VK Mathews, the founder and executive chairman of IBS Software. So I welcome you.
Everyone. So I will introduce the guest for this evening, and Ms. VK Mathews, who is the speaker for this evening. VK Mathews is the founder and executive chairman of IBS Software, one of the leading travel technology companies in the world. Mr. Mathews founded IBS Software 25 years ago in Trivandrum, India, with a vision to redefine the future of travel through technology innovation. Today, IBS is a global corporation serving over 200 clients worldwide, which includes some of the best and biggest airlines, busiest airports, leading cruise lines, and renowned hotel groups in the world. IBS business operations spreads across all geographies, employing over 3,500 professionals from 30 nationalities. Mr. VK Mathews is a thought leader in the global aviation industry and is a speaker at various international travel events and seminars. He was the Executive Council member of NASSCOM, past chairman of Confederation of Indian Industries, Kerala State, current chairman of Group of Technology Companies, and a member of CIA Southern Regional Council. He has received several awards from the government, media, and trade associations, including Management Leadership Award, Businessman of the Year Award, IT Man of the Year Award, Millennium Leadership Award, and Enterprise Excellence Award. VK Mathews holds a master's degree in aeronautical engineering from the IIT Kanpur and had executive management education from Harvard Business School in US. A very warm and hearty welcome to you, Mr. VK, and we look forward to having a very riveting and interesting session from you. Thank you.
Good evening, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Great pleasure, privilege to have this evening time spent with you. May I know who are the people? You are undergraduate students, graduate students? Undergraduate students, mostly. Okay. Which class? I mean, what I mean to say is year 1, 2, 3, 4, semester 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Third year, mostly third year. Okay. All right. So the topic that I've chosen to speak with you is leading in a digital world. All of us, so I will structure my talk in that fashion. So I'll talk a little bit about the world that we live in today. All of you know, but I will actually frame it in such a manner that it is contextual and relevant for the topic. Then what does it mean and what does it take to lead in that world? Then we will talk a little bit about where India as a country, what's the future of our country as we see. Then we will talk a little bit about if you were to become an entrepreneur and what could be, I can share some of my experiences and thoughts as how you could be successful, yeah? Okay, so let me just, frame the context, the world that we live today. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a digital economy, and the digital economy that we live today is about 20% of the world's GDP. The company that I represent and our target sector is travel. And travel industry dates back to the beginning of humanity, and that's only 10%. Whereas the digital economy did not exist until 2007. iPhone did not come until 2007. We never even talked about digital until then. We used to talk about information technology. So it's very, very huge. And if I want to give you some sort of an overview of the digital economy. First, the number one is it is driven, it's enabled and driven by our ability to collect massive amount of digital data and process it. It evolves at breakneck speed. Today, if you look at the internet traffic, is probably about 250 to 300 terabytes per second. If I turn the clock 25 years back, it was perhaps about 1 or 10 megabytes per second. So it also creates a massive amount of wealth in rapid time. I'm talking about digital economy. And the interesting thing is that it gets concentrated in the hands of few countries, companies, and more so few individuals. Huge amount. And what does it actually mean? Rapid amount of wealth in very rapid times. A huge amount of wealth is because the benefit that it provides is so much, and it is such short period of time. And also in the digital economy, a very powerful data value chain is created by firms which specialize in data processing, in collecting, processing, and analyzing digital data to produce intelligence which can be monetized through commercial use. Now, I just want to give you another perspective to this world. Platformization or platforms are the single biggest driver of the digital economy. If you look at the world and take 8 largest companies by market capitalization, 7 of them you will see use platform-based business models. There are 2 types of platforms. One is transaction platforms. The other one is innovation platforms. Transaction platforms examples are, say, if you take Uber, Airbnb, Amazon, Alibaba, these are all transaction platforms which connects thousands and millions of producers, manufacturers with billions and millions of consumers. And they facilitate bilateral and multilateral exchanges. Whereas innovation platforms are like iOS or Android or Linux, which will actually get the world to come together to collaborate and innovate and create better solutions. These are the 2 types of platforms. And the access to the data of action, interaction, and customer behavior that comes from these platforms will be of great use to the commercial world and also the scientific world. And ladies and gentlemen, typically if you look at, you have heard about in the normal economy, you have heard about the north-south divide, meaning that the developed countries in the northern hemisphere and the developing or underdeveloped or undeveloped countries in the southern hemisphere, in Asia and Africa. Whereas when it comes to digital economy, the world that we are actually talking about, the divide is not between north and south, it's just between 2 countries. It is United States and China. 90% of the entire digital economy is shared by these 2 countries. 75% of all of the blockchain patents, 50% of the IoT spending, and 75% of all of the public cloud spending, all of that is taking place in these 2 countries. If you really look at the trade friction that you actually see between these countries is a reflection of their quest for dominance in these frontier technologies. So that is the digital economy that we are talking about, and that's the world where we live. It's so huge, so big. Now, if I just want to talk a little bit about our country, where the IT industry in our country is standing. Last year was a terrific year for us. $227 billion is the IT output of this country. And that is somewhat equal to 50% of our entire exports and 8% of our GDP. And our share of global sourcing is about 59%. 59% of the entire global IT sourcing takes place from this place. We employ 5 million or 50 lakhs people directly with significant multiplier effects. And last year we had a net addition of roughly about 500,000. about 445,000 jobs to be precise. And this year we are going to, last year we grew about 15.5%. This year is a little bit slow. We'll probably be about 10 to 12% growth this year. Still great, very good. So this is about the digital world that we are actually living. And let me now also talk about another topic, again to frame the context. We just came out of COVID, isn't it? And what did we learn? What did COVID teach us? All of us would know, but I will put it in slightly different. There are 2-3 things. When I look at companies, I'm talking more about companies, and that's where some of you will be, and some of you will float your own companies. But so the real learnings from what COVID has taught us, companies which were inherently agile, did very well during COVID. I can also tell you this. The companies who did very well before COVID, pre-COVID, continue to do very well through COVID and beyond. Companies with agile business models. What does it actually mean? What it means is this. If you have, what happened during COVID times? For example, in travel, the sector that I represent, all the flights were grounded. The hotels were closed. There was no travel, zero almost, yeah? That was the situation. That's what happened. But these companies have huge amount of already sunk costs. They have got expenses to meet. So how do you respond? For instance, agility means how do I respond to market conditions on which I have no control, like what happened through COVID? Second, how do you respond? The customer behavior and the consumer behavior now is so different from what it used to be once upon a time. You yourself may not know how you have changed. I'll tell you. Your next read can be on this in less than a second. Your next movie can be in less than 10 seconds. Your next write can be in less than 5 minutes. And your next meal can be in less than 1 hour. And your next, grocery shopping less than 3 hours, Amazon Fresh. And your next e-commerce could be in less than 24 hours. Our expectations are quite different. Now, how do you respond to changing customer expectations? Is that decide whether your business model is agile or not? Are you asset light or asset heavy? Will you be able to actually throttle down your cost in sync with your revenue pressures? And will you be able to internationalize your cost if your revenues are international? For instance, if you're selling in India, and if my cost is UK, I am done. So if your costs are internationalized and your revenues are international, my costs should be internationalized. The next one is, am I getting economies of scale in my operation? Am I operating with, say, 20 aircraft, or am I operating with 2,000 aircraft? When I have more, I have much better operating leverage and much better economies of scale. So this is what agility is all about. The second part is, this is what COVID has taught us. The companies which could operate in a agile fashion, they survived, and the companies which did not, they did not survive. And similarly, I'll tell you another example, what COVID has taught us. COVID has taught us that if you are the last mile, if you are engaging the customer, if you are empowering the customer, if you are fulfilling the customer need, then you capture 90% of the value of the value chain, and everybody else will be cost plus. What it means is this, as an example, take the case of Zomato or Swiggy or Amazon Fresh or Uber Eats, and look at the value chain. The value chain starts with the farmer, then the logistics provider, the warehousing guy, the food processor, the wholesaler, the retailer, the restaurant owner, and the chef. And finally, here comes the Swiggy or Zomato or Uber Eats. And they are actually engaging with the customer, and they are actually doing everything to amplify their consumption behavior. The lady wanted just an idli, but finally she ended up buying so much more because the engagement was so appealing, and they were able to amplify her consumption behavior. And when that company went public, we realized that totally loss-making company, and will be loss-making for quite some time, was valued so high. So the value capture depends on who is going to actually engage. So I talked about agility, and the other one is the customer engagement and empowerment. That is where the value is going to be. Another important thing that is actually taking place is the business context is completely changing. What it means is that the entire commercial business environment is, COVID has actually made us, and the digitization along with platformization has helped us, or has caused the entire business commerce universe into two parts. Producers, consumers, connected through a digital pipe, and the pipe provided with all kinds of capabilities by a brand. What it means is, take the case of Amazon. Started as an e-commerce e-tailer. Now they are the single biggest airline operators. They are the biggest operators of computers, because once you have that pipe established, you will be able to push a whole lot of services through that. So today, if I take travel as my sector, you can actually clearly see this. Emirates Airlines or British Airways or Lufthansa or Qantas would like to say, think of travel, think of us. I am going to give you whatever that you want, not what I have. What I got is just a seat. But I'll give you hotel, I'll give you a show ticket, I'll give you car hire, I'll give you anything that you would like to buy. And how will I do that? I will do that by having aggregation, or I will aggregate those components from others. I will package it, I will price it, personalize it, and deliver to you in your Facebook or in whatever social media or whatever media that you would like to consume. And for this, there are 2-3 principles emerge in this world. One, personalization. That means I am going to give my customer what the customer wants than just what I have. And for that, I need to know my customer. And how will I know my customer? So I have to go to him directly. I should really know what all things he's doing. When there is a screen coming up, this person is in the age group of 18 to 23. So I know what she could or he could be looking for. So I will be able to actually judge. And all of the technology that is available will help us. So this will also bring another principle. That principle is disintermediation. What I mean to say is, I have to take my products and services directly to the end consumer, bypassing any intermediary. Because if there is an intermediary, then I will not know the customer. And I need to know the customer for me to personalize my offering. So what happens is, you have producers and you have consumers, and I sit as the brand. I don't need to necessarily operate. I can be an airline company without me operating anything. I will pick up the airline seat and I will have contract with somebody who operates 20,000 planes, not just 50 planes. And I will pick it up because I have a connection, and I will be able to service level manage it. I will be able to package, price, personalize, and deliver. In other words, it brings certain concepts like, for you to provide a service, you don't need to necessarily operate it. And it will be operated by those who have an advantage of operation. That operations means they have economies of scale, they have got access to international, very competitive resources and things like that. So that's another concept that's really coming. Now, I talked about the digital economy, I talked about what COVID has actually taught us, and I also talked about some of the changing commercial and business context few other things also happened during COVID. Can you tell what happened through COVID? We all know, but you may not realize it. One, there's an absolutely accelerated technology adoption everywhere. Every company today is wanting to become a technology company, not an IT company. What it means is that they would like to take full advantage of technology. Every company. Second, the future of jobs or the nature of jobs are significantly changing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the United States, all of last year, as you would have seen, the unemployment rate came down significantly. Of course, inflation went up. But at the same time, number of open job vacancies also increased. In other words, there are jobs available, but there are no matching talent. In other words, the future of jobs or the nature of jobs is significantly shifting. And this is a very important input for a lot of people to take care. Because we have to upskill and reskill the people so that we will be able to get the talent to match the demand. The next one is as I said, the operating models are changing. What it means is, previously every day morning people will dress up and go to the office, and in the evening they will go back. That scenario is changing. What is forecasted is that 20 to 30% of all the jobs across all occupations will be from remote. This will vary from occupation to occupation, but in reality, if you take across, this is going to happen. So what does it mean? If you are leading, if you are managing, then what it means is that you should be able to manage your workforce and the work from an outcome point of view, manage by outcomes rather than by lead task and activities. Because you have no control on it. You will only be able to control by outcomes. And very few companies, in fact, no company has achieved that process maturity to manage work by outcomes. That's a very important thing. The second piece, that's for professionals. And again, if you really want to lead and manage in this kind of environment, one of the things that you have to do is that. The second thing that you will have to do, in my view, is that you have to really, I don't think talent is going to be the single biggest problem for the world going forward. Because the kind of work that we have and the kind of people who are skilled, there will be significant mismatch. And if you really look at all of the issues that we see, ChatGPT and GPT-4 and GPT-5 and all of those things coming, we have to really equip our people to be able to work side by side with machines, and machines which become significantly more cognitively intelligent. Yeah. So that's another thing. Upskill and reskilling is a key requirement for us. Now, going forward, again, the next topic that I want to discuss with you, let me just refer what exactly I wanted to cover. Yeah, so that's another thing. If I'm really look at companies, which you will be joining, what will be their priorities? What would be the priorities of companies? I talked about, in a digital world, what will be the priorities of professionals? What will be the priorities of companies? The number one thing, and again, taking all of these trends, is what we call as brilliant basics. Brilliant basics means all of the operational matters. If I take IIT Madras, this institution should have best-in-class technology to manage all of its operations, whether it's academic operations or administrative operations. All of it should use the best-in-class technology. And the best-in-class technology is not a technology that you develop, because that will be a technology that you develop. The best-in-class is the one which is tested as the best-in-class. Yeah, because you should buy software which can be very effectively used for managing academics as well as the administration of it. That's what is called brilliant basics. We have no time to waste on that, yeah, because there is no value there by you doing it manually, or you try to actually write that software yourself, because it used to be the case before. Why? Because sectors used to be so much bigger than technology. For instance, 25 years back when I started IBS, the airline industry or the airline aviation industry, that I don't even bother about travel. Travel is much bigger. Was 6-fold as big as technology industry. But today, in 2022, 23, the technology sector is about 5 trillion, and the aviation industry is only 800 billion. You understand? It's a much bigger technology industry. What I'm trying to say is that you should be using the best-in-class technology available for managing your operations. That's what is called brilliant basics. The other one which we talked about, Kavi, is what I term as digital dexterity. You know, chopstick dexterity. You know, some people, you know how to use chopsticks when you go to a Chinese restaurant. So we have today so much technology on us, this one, and all of you. And we don't even use 10% of it. And most of you and most of us, people at my generation, of my generation, for us using technology is an effort. For you, I think it should be fun, good. But if you take an organization, considerable part of the people could be above 50. And for them, it is work. And with more and more technology available and functionality available, more and more discomfort. So companies will have to really look at how do we make people more comfortable with newer technologies, if you really want to lead in a digital world. That's quite important. So, digital dexterity, and I talked about customer loyalty. In the world that we are going to be living, customer is going to be king, even though we can still say my people and my planet is more important than the customer. I can always say that, but in reality that is taken. That's a given. Yeah, so your customer loyalty is important. How do you keep your customer loyalty? I'll tell you what we have enabled and what we have done. At least in one continent of Australia, we helped Qantas to tell their customers, with the help of a coalition loyalty marketing program, we have enabled Qantas to tell the Australian people that if you are part of Qantas loyalty program, we will get 70% of all your spend in the continent of Australia recognized for rewards. Travel is only 10, that means only $1 and $10 will be spent in travel. But we have a coalition, you have a network where, gas stations or department stores and restaurants and you name it, all of them are part of it. So 70% of all your spend will be recognized for rewards, which means that customer is going to be very loyal to you. And it's very important. It's very important for me to have my customers loyal to me. Why? Because that's how I will know him or her more, so that I will be able to serve them, meet their needs. And people will buy if it is easy to buy. That's a loaded statement. People will buy if it is easy to buy, because it's not very easy to buy. If you are going to sell me something which I can't afford, it's difficult for me. It's even more difficult for me to buy if you sell me something which I don't need, isn't it? So if you have to sell what, it's easy to sell, I need to know my customer. So customer loyalty is important. And the next one I said implicitly, you have to empower your employees. They will not be like the employees before. They probably will work part-time all time. They might work like in a Uber setup. I will switch on and say I am now available to take work. After 2 hours, I'll switch off. That's how I would like to work. I'm not saying that's the ideal way to work, but that's how we could work. But one thing that is going to happen, and this is an absolute truth, even in university I'm quite sure, that flexibility will be at the core of future of work. Future work, flexibility. Why? Because flexibility, if rightly exercised, will be more beneficial for the community and the society, because we will be more efficient. So if you look at this issue of work from home or work from office, that debate is going on even now, isn't it? Actually, it has to be a hybrid one. It cannot be work from office or work from home alone. Today, technology allows us to study from home, work from home, medical facility at home, entertainment at home, food delivered at home, and everything can be at home. But I don't think we can say that if that is how we live, that's a good quality life, isn't it? If you really want to create the culture of a company, create the feeling of community and collaboration, innovation, we should, at the productivity from within that, we should be working and meeting people too. So I cannot actually go, and whilst I would and some of my managers would want to have the people coming to office regularly, we may not be able to do that unless we have a real purpose. We have to really explain why, isn't it? All right. So much about the digital world that we live and what could make us successful and succeed in this environment. I would also like to speak a little bit about the future of our country as I see it. But that's also mentioned by many others. Do you feel that the future of our country is bright? Yes? Yes. So we certainly should believe, at least in what some of the very well-known people who would be able to actually scenario plan and extrapolate to the future. Bob Stenfels, the current CEO of McKinsey, in September he was in India and he gave an interview. So also Jeff Bezos, if you will. And he said it's not the decade, it's not India's decade, it's India's century. India will become the third largest economy by 2032, and by 2047 we will become a formidable force. And the reason why he said it's going to be India's century is because of three factors. Number one, India will be the talent house for the world. By 2047, 20% of the entire talent of the world will be in this country. Second, all of the geopolitical issues that we are seeing now and we have been seeing for at least a decade or more, all of this is remapping the supply chains, and India could be a benefactor of that. What it means is that most of the manufacturing taking place in China will shift elsewhere, and we could get, if we get our act together, we could be the benefactor from that. And the third piece, for the size, complexity, and all the issues and the low per capita income of our country, we are highly digitized. You would have seen that a bull going around with a QR code in the head, so if you want to give 10 rupees, you can pay through that. Yeah? That's fantastic. So we are so digitized that we should be able to leapfrog in our developmental pursuits. And so this is what Bob Stenswell said. I will add one more argument, because Stenswell doesn't know Indians. We know what we are, isn't it? So I would say the fourth one is the enterprising Indians, the enterprising mindset, the ever hopefulness of the Indians is another reason why it is going to be our century. So that's very, very good. And that is the world into which you are going to come out. And that is just fantastic for you guys. So if you are going to become, at least if some of you are going to become or pursue an entrepreneurial journey, either immediately after or later, I can give you some tips which I thought could be of great value for you. Number one, focus. We have only so much energy and no more. And why I say that is that's what I did. We had a technology focus, only use newer technologies, even though used to be huge temptation because of Y2K, if you have heard about it. And sectoral focus. We stayed focused on travel. And that really helped us to become one of the world leaders. And in some of the lines of business, we are absolutely world leaders. We have 50% market share in air cargo business worldwide. So focus is very important. Second one, purpose. Purpose is very important. The purpose cannot be for us to make money. There's nobody sitting there to give you money, isn't it? They're all sitting there to take service from you, and valuable service and value for money, all of that. So I think it is nice to think about the valuations of companies, but I think if at all you want to be successful, make sure that the horse is in front of the cart. It's one and the same. But if you put the cart in front of the horse, it cannot move. Money comes along. The purpose is how this is going to make a difference to your intended benefactor. That's very, very important. You have to really validate. And the third piece is culture. Culture is important. Culture is not employment regulation. And you should have a group of people who subscribe to that culture, people who work with a sense of commitment, they work with passion and striving for quality with a sense of transparency and integrity and respect to the team. I talked about the culture of IBS, the company that I come from. Commitment, passion, precision, integrity, and respect for the individual. Culture will not be visible when the going is easy. Going is good. Culture absolutely comes to the fore, and it will actually keep you and support you in any adverse situations. And that's what so culture is an important thing. The next one, you must have some good mentors. You can make mistakes, but don't repeat the same mistakes others did. So mentors will be able to actually help you. And the last one is, it would be absolutely fantastic even if somebody is investing only very small amount, just 100,000 rupees. Still it is valuable because somebody is validating your concept, your idea. If you are not able to get an investor, at least get a small team of advisors. It could be your professors, someone. I think that would really help, because if you are going to come out of the university and start something, you have no experience. I started my entrepreneurial journey after 15 years of corporate experience. So that has actually helped. I'm not saying that everybody should have that, but if you don't have it, we must have some sort of a supplement to that. So that would definitely help. I have almost come to the end of what I wanted to talk as a prepared speech. If I check again, I might get some more points, but I don't want to. So before I stop, I would like to quote few quotes. Since there aren't many people of my age, then the first one I will not use, which otherwise I would have. Those who are at the September side of their lives. Still I will say, it's an interesting one. But none of you will belong to that category. That quote is this: we all have two lives. And the second life begins when we realize that there is only one life. Yeah, it's not applicable to you guys, but I should remind myself. The second one, for those who are in like Kaviraj and Jain and everybody who is the leading and who are the leaders of the world. And perhaps for you guys who are going to be the creators of the future. And this is a very interesting quote. The campus that you have here, or the world that we have created, is a product of our thinking. If you want to change the world, you have to change your thinking. Everything starts from here. It's so important, isn't it? And the third one, really, really for the youngsters. You always hear, and I have always heard my mother talking about my younger brother, or my sister talking about her boy. He'll say, he is very, very bright, but he will not study. Yeah, isn't it? We have heard that very often. He is very bright, but he will not apply. Isn't it? So I have this quote for you guys. A person who doesn't read has no advantage over a person who cannot read. You understand? All right, ladies and gentlemen, there is a real pleasure for me to share this evening with you guys. I hope it was useful. Thank you very much. And I wish all of you great, great future for running, managing companies, communities, and even probably managing some other countries. Now that's the thing. All right. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for this insightful talk. Sir, I want to know that you had 15 years of corporate experience. Then how did this idea of being an entrepreneur click for you?
Yeah, it was not my dream or expectation to become an entrepreneur. So I spotted an opportunity. I was in the aviation sector. I was heading the IT division of Emirates Airline. And during those days, all of the technology which the aviation industry had was legacy, old technologies. And newer technologies were emerging, and we were not able to get anybody to actually support us. So I thought there is a great opportunity, because I was sitting on the other side, and I could see the demand. And I was doing exceptionally well. I was very young family, expat workforce as a very good job. But I saw an opportunity and I started. And that's how it is. And I still believe that if you are a professional, or if you are in a corporate setup and if you are coming out, I think it is best for you to come out for the right reasons. When the going is good, please come out when the going is good, not when the going is bad. When the going is good, you are coming out, then you are coming out for the right reason. When the going is not good, you come out like anybody else will come out because of lack of options. That's how I start.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So basically, as we are living in a digital world, and as the new technology is coming every day, and you also mentioned that there is something called focus, that we should be focused on that. But it's not like everything a new thing is coming and it's sort of distracting us. For example, if I'm using right now Python 3 version, next year some Python 4 will come. So ultimately it will change my focus to that side. So how to cope up with that?
Yeah, I'll answer this, and that actually is there in our core purpose itself. The core purpose, I'll tell you with IBS as an example. Our core purpose is redefining businesses. Though we are a hardcore technology company, we say our core purpose is redefining business. The reason is this, the right reason. The technologies that we use, the systems that we build, all of them will become obsolete. All of them will change. But the pressure of our customers to stay ahead of competition will not change. And that pressure will be, from business language term, can be reduced into three. One, the pressure to increase the market share and revenue. The pressure to improve the cost of operation, or the operations excellence and reduce cost of operation. And the pressure to continue to ensure that your customers will always have a differentiated customer experience. That is going to be there, regardless. Now, if my company can actually work with our customers and help them innovate, re-engineer, and then support all those innovative processes through next generation technologies, then we are in business. That is the journey. So that's why the purpose is not how we achieve the purpose. Python 1, 2, 3, 4, or any of the technologies are how we solve a problem to get to a goal. The goals are relatively simple, though complex to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah, you said that 90% of value lies in the last mile part of the value chain. But if you take India, the rest of the value chain is highly unorganized. So let's say tomorrow, if I am going for a job, searching for a job, should I target the last mile while everybody is trying to jump, lot of competitions and a very small problem, or the rest of the supply chain, which has a lot of scope, but it does not have that much value and visibility to the end user?
That is not how what I said should be interpreted. What it means is that the agency which engages with the customer and knowing the demand of the customer, understanding the customer, fulfilling that customer need and that engagement, that is so much value adding, because India, you're right, India has certain context. But the world also has a slightly different context, in the sense we are supposed to be doing well if every day we consume more than what we consumed yesterday. You understand? That's what growth means. GDP growth means every day, physically or emotionally, mentally, intellectually, we have to consume. And how do we actually get people to consume more? And that is what is value creation. The other one is, making sure that the supply chain is disruption free. Both are, I'm not saying you should not look at that opportunity. That's a great opportunity in certain markets, certain periods of time. But what I meant was, how do you, on the one side, your limit, it's pretty much mathematical on the one side, in the operations. I achieve 100% efficiency, I achieve 100% efficiency, yeah? Whereas on the other side, I have to really expand it. That's how you should read it. Yes.
Hi, sir. So my question is closer to, given the fact that you worked at Emirates and worked in the IT department and so on, my question is indexed to that. Basically, currently, even if you look at the software in, say, the airline industry, it's very well known that legacy software is still being used, and it causes a lot of operational hassles. You can see it in the US market very clearly. All the flights are cancelled and there's no way that you can find.
Yeah.
So the leading reason for this is given as regulatory hurdles for adopting new software. Is this really true, or is there something missing in the picture that we're not completely looking at?
No, it's not the regulatory restrictions that is causing the delay in adoption of new technology. It's because of the perceived risk. Because aviation industry was one of the early adopters of technology because of the need for synchronized information across geographies. But the investment did not keep pace, or the method of building software was such that it is so difficult for you. You build a very monolith application with interfaces or connections with so many satellite siloed systems. No CEO would want to change that system during his watch, because if it fails, his job is at stake. So not on my watch this is going to take place, is how everybody has pushed. But we have been able to show a lot of success.
So in that exact same lines of saying software leading certain decisions, during COVID, a bunch of airlines out there filed for bankruptcy. So if you look at their bankruptcy filing statements, they never gave their core business at stake. They said our business, the core business of flying the airline, is a loss-making business. The example I have is American Airlines. They were a $6 billion loss-making business every year. But the company piece that they kept at stake was their loyalty program. That made $21 billion year on year in revenue.
Long time.
Exactly.
Long time back. Not recently.
Way back when, before COVID was there.
No, way back COVID. Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's when, Crandall
said that. Loyalty is what brings a lot of customers to the space, and the software that runs all these loyalty programs of each spend, the Australian example you gave of Qantas. How does this evolve going forward? Will these businesses consistently stay loss-making, and software becomes their core selling point?
Why the aviation industry is difficult to make profit, and because of certain structural reasons, but that's a big topic in itself. But I have my views, very strong views about the Indian aviation also. loyalty programs are very valuable because 2-3 reasons. One, you have some sort of a guaranteed demand. They actually spend in your circles, and every spend and every burn, or every earn and every burn, is going to be of benefit to the fraternity. But the aviation industry, whether it is going to make profit, it's not going to be hugely profitable business. But without that, with that business, there are so many other businesses which are hugely profitable. For example, ground handling business, engineering maintenance business, they're all very profitable. Duty-free business, airport leasing business, airport handling business, they're all profitable. So, yeah, this is a larger question and very thematic question. Yeah.
So you mentioned that there will be a drastic change in the manufacturing sector, and the industries would prefer coming to India or some other countries. So, but do you think like India wouldn't? According to me, I think India wouldn't be at the forefront of manufacturing sector. Like, I guess according to our beliefs, or maybe we are more focusing on the digital world, and we are lacking behind in the manufacturing sector. So the other countries like Vietnam and even the African countries are taking advantage of it. So are we even, how are we looking forward for that?
I think India has a very good opportunity in the manufacturing side because manufacturing itself is getting redefined. A lot of manufacturing can be performed from home, smart manufacturing. Yeah. So the factories could be anywhere, but I could manage all of that sitting at home. Work from India can be a very big attraction for us. You don't need to necessarily scientists, for example, MTech PhDs of IIT Madras. I was just talking to your faculty. They should be able to actually do high-end work for the leading cutting-edge companies anywhere in the world sitting from here. So the concept of manufacturing itself is changing, and India can play a very big role. And why? Because of the demography and because of our young people and the bright minds. So the traditional manufacturing, we also look at whether we want to do all kinds of manufacturing, because it could be polluting, because we are highly dense. Density of population is very high in India. So take the state that I come from, we can't afford to have a lot of any polluting kind of manufacturing because of the density of population. Yeah. So, but I think India has an opportunity. I'm not saying all of it is going to come to India. India can be a benefactor, is what I said, and should be a benefactor also. I'm pretty bullish about it.
So you're saying the leaders will be from outside, like they would be willing to invest in India, or you're expecting new leaders from India itself? Or?
Both should be possible, and we are going through a phase where we absolutely must get the best-in-class companies in the world to actually work with us, to their benefit and to our benefit. Yeah, the best-in-class companies. And I was saying that we can work with companies in India, but maybe private companies in India. Government companies, when it comes to government companies, I wouldn't say that they are at the forefront, and for whatever reasons. So I think that could be a compromise. That's why that our talent is best in class, absolutely. We have proven to the world that we have that. So we should be able to convince the leading edge companies in the world to associate with us to do their research work. Because a PhD guy or an MTech guy cannot find him going and doing programming, even if he's given 2 crores rupees salary, is a waste. He should do his core work. And that's what his real talent is. And that's the opportunity that we should create.
Sir, I have one last question.
Yes.
You have mentioned about having mentors in life, right? Like us as undergrad students, how do we find mentors as like how do we pick a right mentor as an alum or somebody? And once you have a right mentor, how do you like how does one make the best use of them?
So, as an undergrad student, your starting point is not mentor. Starting point is to have an idea, which you distill in your mind and with your friends, and that idea is somewhat saleable and you have to sound. You will not get a mentor with a lot of experience unless your idea is somewhat crystallized. So that has to happen amongst your circle and probably with your faculty members. And you also have a startup ecosystem around. You may be able to get some help there. You won't get mentors unless your idea is somewhat crystallized. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
I invite Professor Mahesh Panchaknala, Dean, Alumni and Corporate Relations, to present a gift to the guest as a token of our gratitude. Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Mathews, for coming. From my vantage point, I get to listen to many of these lectures, but what clarity today. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sure the students here got a lot out of your practical experience and your worldview, which I hope has influenced many of you. I hope each and every one of you picked up 1 or 2 points that you thought was the way you want to live your life. And the word culture is something that you should take back with you. Wherever you go, those are the 2 takeaways for me, purpose and culture. If you align on those 2, life is set for you. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Real leaf gold plated. It's a people leaf which stands for Bodhi knowledge.
Amazing. Thank you.
Something that should remind you of my